airports. Well, let's talk about all this with travel expert Paul Charles. He runs travel consultancy firm, the PC Agency, and joins us now. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Julia.
Good morning. I remember those heady days when we spoke to you pretty much every day about what the latest quarantine rules were and travel rules were, trying to get the airline industry, travel industry back up and running post-lockdown or between lockdowns. Lots of people would have gone away on summer holidays years going, finally, I can actually get back on a holiday. I feel I can rely. The flights are going. And then this happens. What did you make of what happened on Monday?
Well, it's the worst outage we've seen for over 10 years, and it shouldn't have happened. It's an international embarrassment, to be honest, because NATS have admitted that this rogue flight plan was filed by certainly one aircraft, maybe more, but a minimum of one. And that corrupted the whole of our core aviation system responsible for running airspace in this country. And it shouldn't be that way. The airlines pay a lot of money every year to NATS. The government has a 49% golden share to ensure its continuing success, and NATS have failed to deliver on one of the busiest days of the year. The air traffic controllers do an amazing job, but the systems they're using need thorough investment, and clearly they haven't had it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I find it extraordinary that the boss of NATS, the National Air Traffic Service, this is a man, Martin Rolfe is his name, and he's paid double to 1.3 million quid, almost 10 times what the Prime Minister earns to run this National Air Traffic Service. Now, you'd think if there's one thing that would be totally state of the art, I'm thinking not maybe an app for me to order a takeaway from somewhere down the road, but no, the thing that keeps the planes in the sky. I mean, this extraordinary process of thousands of planes going in and out of dozens of different airports in our own country alone, and everyone staying alive. Amazing. And apparently this is an incredibly creaky old system that is long overdue for replacement. How on earth is this guy on a 1.3 million quid?
Well, it's a lot of money, and it should be running smoothly and seamlessly, and that's what the airlines pay for. And to be fair to NATS, it's a complex system over the UK. It's over 200,000 miles of airspace. 99% of the time, everything works very smoothly. But there have been one too many incidents over the last few years, at least one a year, which have affected our holidays and our trips in some way. And it's simply not acceptable. It should be a fail-safe system. It's critical to UK infrastructure. And that's why I think the government need to have a national inquiry into this and into the last major falling over of software a few weeks ago with the eGate system to ascertain whether our infrastructure is fit for purpose, because they were designed for a period when we had fewer flights. And now we have over 6,000 flights a day going in and out of the UK. The technology needs to be upgraded substantially. Now, it has been upgraded, but not enough to cope with the level of demand that we're going to be seeing over the next few years.
I would have thought the e-gates were fairly recent, but again, we don't need an inquiry. If you have an entire system for keeping planes in the sky safely that can be completely ruined by one rogue flight plan filed via French airline, which is what we're told they think is the working hypothesis for why they had to take the system down, then you don't need an inquiry. You need a whole new system. And as Michael O'Leary said, I mean, they put me in a position, these people, of having to agree with Michael O'Leary from Ryanair, saying it's unacceptable and saying, where was the backup system?
Well, the airlines are not to blame here, of course. It is NATS that is at fault, and the airlines are the ones having to fork out. We've calculated about £100 million so far in refunds back to consumers who understandably have been very stressed over the last few days. That's a lot of money. How is that money going to be paid back to the airlines whose fault it wasn't that this occurred? Yeah. And I think the other thing is that this infrastructure is so vital to the UK's economy, to our day-to-day lives, as we've seen, whether you're stuck in Faro or whether you're stuck in Barcelona or wherever. It's vital to the way we're doing business or going on holiday that there should be some changes now made. Why is it there's only a 4-hour system in place for this software where it takes all the flight plans, keeps them running for 4 hours after any fault, and then they go to manual processors? Why isn't it 24 hours, for example? That should be the fail-safe.
This sounds very basic, doesn't it? We spoke to Simon Calder earlier, as a travel expert, when he was saying that, EasyJet are now mounting some rescue flights. They're saying, they're sending out bigger planes than they need for sending out, but to bring more people back. But again, that's starting from today. It's Wednesday. This happened on Monday.
Yes.
On the busiest days of the year, as people returning from a bank holiday weekend ahead of the school, holidays ending and the like. Should there not be a system in place where there is a spare capacity? If this stuff does happen, we've got planes and flight crews ready to fly out to go and rescue these people. Should the government send out rescue planes? Because it's all very well. I know these people aren't trapped, in a war zone, but I'm guessing Malaga Airport feels like a sodding war zone after 2 nights sleeping on the floor.
Well, and in fact, if you look at Palma, where there's been real issues, because Palma had a major storm over the weekend, and that was already causing issues on Sunday, and they knocked on into Monday. Then you had the Nats outage. Palma, I'm told, is in a real mess at the moment, and there are lots of people stuck there. So EasyJet, in fact, one of their flights, I think, is going into Palma. Yeah, they could have moved a bit earlier, but it's Wednesday. They're getting them out there today, 48 hours afterwards. I think airlines were obviously hoping things would have improved earlier on Monday, and so they've turned it around within 48 hours. The government, of course, have done rescue flights before during COVID, when they brought back many UK holidaymakers and business travellers from other countries, but they also took a while to put into place. Yeah. Airlines do have spare planes. They have certainly 1 or 2 around, in case of engineering issues, or they have to send a plane out. But they still have the logistics of getting pilots and flight crew in the right place. And the big issue on Monday was this outage was so extensive, over 7 or 8 hours, that flight crew went out of their legal flying hours. Yeah. And that meant so many of them have been stuck in airports all over the world, and it will take at least a week to get them back. That's why this 8-hour outage has become at least a 5-day nightmare for airlines and for consumers.
Absolutely extraordinary, isn't it? The logistics of this are extraordinary. Paul Charles, travel expert, as you can hear from the PC agency, that's a travel consultancy firm.